You're about to play an unfinished level from The Last of Us Part 2. The reason we added this section is there are a few sequences, and we picked the 3 of the best ones, that we cut from the game. You know, often we build a game that's much bigger than what ends up being the final product. They were months away from being finished, but we wanted to give you an insight of what it's like when we built the game, because often we have this whole thing constructed and it doesn't have final art or audio or dialogue. And here you get to see the building blocks of what it's like when we first string a bunch of these levels together. This is the intro to the first deleted level, and this one is the roughest of the 3. We wanted to show more of how Jackson operates. So this is the festival where Ellie ultimately kisses Dina. This sequence would have come very late in the game as a flashback sequence while you're in the farm with Dina. And we wanted to show what is the rest of Jackson doing, and wanted to put on the stick, make it interactive. So you could see when you're outside, there are all these almost like carnival games that you can play. You could mix drinks, you could play with these kids that are playing a sort of clicker Marco Polo, sit down and listen to conversations. And all the different interactions were first or second pass, very, very early passes. The building blocks are there, but nothing is final. And ultimately, while we were very excited by this sequence, it's pretty fun and lighthearted. It just slowed things too much as we're barreling towards the end of the story at this point. So again, reminder, rough, missing audio, missing animation, missing gameplay tweaks, missing dialogue, but pretty representative of what it would have been. So enjoy.
No dawaj, dawaj, dawaj. To może Eli trzeba dubbingować. Dobra. Do dzieła.
Originally, this level was going to transition us to farm. We would go all the way through to the dance, where Ellie and Dina share their first kiss. Then we would play through farm, and when Ellie plays the guitar at night, she would remember the Seth incident. So, the opening for this was a little tricky. We needed it to match at least a little what you might expect emotionally coming from prior beats, because we were already purposefully disorienting you in time and space. Remember, you just came from this huge fight. To jump straight into it would have been a little too jarring. After some back and forth, we rooted it in Ellie's nerves, calling back to her hands shaking in the theater. But this time, for a much more innocuous reason we'll find out later. She's nervous because she has a crush on Dina, who is the only reason why she's here at the dance.
Kurwa mać. Miga mi LED. Jeden LED mi się przepalił i mi miga. I teraz co? Jak zgaśnie, to wszystko zgaśnie? O chuj to chodzi, czego puknąć czy o co to? Kurwa!
Something we really wanted to do was highlight the way their lives had turned upside down since she went down this path. We had this idea of recontextualizing all of our usual gameplay mechanics that were designed for really violent ends. The workbench, door bashes, throwable weapons, and even the infected, which is my personal favorite. Peppered throughout the level are moments of levity or shared history, all the while seeing how happy and mundane they all were before her huge revenge odyssey. It is not a festival without one of these throwing games. This one, of course, uses our throwable system where you're often chucking explosive things or stunning things, but for a more wholesome purpose, although some people take this game really seriously. A fun aspect of this is if you did well, you could win a toy here. Ellie would place it in her pocket. If you had done this, you'd find the toy with JJ, the baby, later back at the farm. When we cut this, the toy made it through anyway because it was so cute. It is the same one you see on the tractor at the farm. Ollie the elephant.
W ogóle mnie to nie interesuje, kurwa, co oni do mnie gadają. Hej, Eli, usiądziesz? Eli, kat! A, chuj. Jak tam twoja dziarka? Zajebiście, wygląda kozacko. Tak to powinno brzmieć. Trzeba tam podziabać, ja bym to jakiś kolorek wrzuciła. No, może tak zrobimy, mordo, spoko, elo, trzymaj się. Siema. No elo, co tam? Co tam młoda? Co tam stary? Kurwa, tylko nie stary, otworzę ci drzwi, wchodź tam. Jo. Ja w ogóle totalnie do dupy. To mnie najbardziej interesuje. Bo to jakiś ponoć jest straszny horror.
In this second deleted level, which is an extended sequence of the sewer.
Pominąć, kurwa. Okej. To pamiętam. Co ona powiedziała?
The ladder acts as an immediate goal for the player, but being able to climb out is not going to be so easy. To keep levels interesting and engaging, we alternate between positive and negative values the player experiences.
Co ty robisz, Eli?
It's a positive to
Kurwa.
have found the ladder, but then a negative to discover it's not the solution. But then another positive to identify the next short-term goal of the doorway. By alternating between these opposing values, we give players what they expect, but not how they expect it.
Czyli dobrze ten wpadł, no dobra.
Okej. Musi być inne.
This level, internally known as Find Nora, was quite long in duration as we had to make Ellie traverse a far distance to the opposite side of downtown Seattle. The sewer section was originally longer than what we released the game with, approximately 10 minutes more. This was one of the few areas of the game that used water flow as part of a traversal puzzle. The player has to go upstream to use the current to get to the platform to reach the other side. We mostly cut this mechanic game-wide, however it remained in essence in the section swimming to the aquarium as Ellie, when you were avoiding the waves.
Gra, ty, zbieraj. Nie wiem po co, ale zbieraj. Z przyzwyczajenia.
When players reach the doorway and enter into the room, they're faced with a dead end. The real reason for this dead end room is that on the reversal, when exiting back out of the doorway, players are faced with the route onwards.
Zabierzcie mnie
A pipe
stąd.
that they've not been able to see when they were swept past it on the way in, and something that was hidden from view when on the side platforms. The intention here being that the only option is to go off the standard path in order to search for a way.
Nie chcę mi się totalnie tego komentarza słuchać.
W górę i do wyjścia. Kurwa. Okej. Ogarnij się, Eli.
In order for the player to feel cramped, claustrophobic and desperate, we'd been enforcing the traversal mechanics that allow for a tight environment, which promote these feelings. We introduced the use of the squeeze through so that we can keep the player feeling enclosed and tight, but without repeating the same geometry. Here we change from low ceilings with wider walls to high ceilings and tight walls to change up the spatial pacing and keep the level from repeating itself. Originally, we had the waterline much higher here, so players had to swim through this tight tunnel. However, as we surface from the water and over the crest of the slope, we reveal what is further in this tunnel. A clicker that has sprouted and the fungus has grown on the sides of the pipe. It was great to see people who user-tested this area becoming increasingly worried as we forced the player to squeeze past the fungus and inches away from the clicker's face, all the time not being sure whether the clicker might be alive or attack them. Although we aren't as cruel as to force a clicker attack in such close proximity, we do have a payoff for this moment. This clicker momentarily turned into Joel to show Ellie's PTSD from what happened to Joel at the start of the game. Ultimately, we decided to save this moment for the farm level, as it was more impactful there because it could become the centrepiece of that experience. Whereas in the sewers, we weren't able to make it as much of a narrative point and give it the breathing room and reaction time that it deserves, given the tight space.
O, w dupę!
No jak dla mnie to szkoda, że to pominęli. Bez sensu. Trochę.
Using this pipe was retained in the iteration we shipped with, as it's the last of the extreme methods Ellie has to undergo in order to escape the sewers, and what she will go through in her pursuit of revenge. The last ladder climb is quite lengthy, and although we could have trimmed it down to a shorter climb, we liked how this last segment of the journey built anticipation for whether there was success at the top or not after all you've been through. Ultimately, the ladder exits out into the subway station, which is how it connects to the final game. Ellie then has to find her way to the hospital from here, crossing paths with the scars for the first time.
Aha, no koniec tego. Dobra.
Gdzie jesteś? Mam cię. Okej. Nic nie widzę.
Dziku!
Kurwa!
Gdzie on tam wlazł?
Nie uciekniesz. Po tobie.
No dobij go już. Cierpi. Siema Seba. Co tam, jak tam? Chujowe te usunięte poziomy, za mało tego. Powiem ci, kurwa, spodziewałem się, że jakieś urwanie dupy będzie, a tu po prostu jakaś samuła totalna. Że trzeba jechać chyba dalej bez powrotu. Nową próbę sobie zrobię. Eli, Jesse, Abby, zobaczymy co tam Abby potrafi. Kurwa, piątunio, słuchaj, ja znowu dzisiaj wstałem rano o 7. Nie wiem, kurwa, co mam zrobić ze sobą. Godzina jest 18:10. Najchętniej tym gdzieś poszedł, ale nie wiem gdzie i po co. Dlatego kurwa siedzę i gram. Jessie to twoja dziewczyna? Pozdrów serdecznie.
No to chodź.
Dziewczynę. No, także granko. I co? Nie wiem. Gdzieś mam doła dzisiaj, człowieku, kurwa. Ani granie mi nie wychodzi, stary, ani w ogóle nic mi się nie chce. To wstawanie rano to nie dla mnie jest. Ja powinienem spać chyba do 13. A po co wstałem? Nie wiem. Tak się obudziłem, no to wstałem. Mówię, dobra. Nie będę luniuchował, wiesz.
Masz tam coś?
Nic nie widzę.
Ale ja widzę buzię w tym tęczu. Nikt nie przychodzi, kurwa, do mnie prawie. Nie ma do kogo gadać. Dobrze, że jesteś, chociaż kurwa jest tylko ryj odezwać.
Nie dajcie jej uciec!
Kurwa mać! No widzisz. Też mogłem się gdzieś wyjść z domu, kurwa, myślałem, żeby iść na siłkę. Ale ręka mnie boli, nie mogę kurwa za bardzo z tą ręką ćwiczyć, nie mogę jej przeciążać, także dostałem się opierdol od fizjoterapeuty, że za dużo podnoszę kilogramów, kurwa. Ja mam iść na siłownię i 10 kilogramami machać, to jest bez sensu, kurwa. To już wolę nie iść. Musiał chyba z 50 powtórzeń, kurwa, zrobić, żeby coś weszło. Tą dziesiątką. Gdzie oni są, kurwa, w ogóle? Gdzie ja tutaj chodzę, szukam, a nie wiem. Nie ma ich nigdzie. Dobra, lecimy tutaj, kurwa, na żywioł. Kurwa. Jebaj go! Pięknie! Teraz tego też. Dobrze, kurwa, jedziemy z nimi. Abi. Abi, ty masz pierdolnięcie w tej łapie tutaj, kurwa. Normalnie aż się zazdroszczę, nie? Nokautujesz kurwa jak pędzel Adriana. Nic nie mogę zrobić. Muszę zmienić nazwę tej transmisji, bo się nie zgadza. Bo to jest bez powrotu, a nie kurwa usunięte poziomy. Zmieniam tą nazwę.